To begin creating the color splash effect inside of Photoshop, go ahead and open up your image now. You can use just about any type of photo for this effect, but I find photos that already have a strong color contrast in them work really well. Once you have your photograph open in Photoshop, double-click on the background layer and rename it to Original. Hit OK when you're done. Whenever I create projects, I like to keep an original of the image untouched. That way, I can always go back to the original if I make a mistake or need to use an unedited version for any reason. Now create a duplicate of the original to edit. Though we won't be editing this duplicate in this lesson, this is my workflow for every project that I work on. Right-click on the original layer and select Duplicate Layer. Rename the original copy to Baby, or to whatever makes sense for your photo. Now we have an original, untouched version and a new version that we can make edits to without worrying about losing the original. Since we don't need to see the original at this time, go ahead and hide it by clicking on the eyeball in the Layers panel for that layer. Earlier, I mentioned that using photos that have a high color contrasting value works really good for this effect. The problem with the photo that I'm using here, though, is that the colors are pretty neutral and close together. So what we're going to do is go ahead and add some more color to this photo before we begin that color splash effect. The eyes of this baby in this photo is really striking, so I would like to add some more color to them to really bring them out. We can do this by applying a color to the photo and then hiding everything except the eyes with a layer mask. Click on the New Adjustment Layer button in the Layers panel and select Hue and Saturation. Using an adjustment layer like this will allow you to go back at any time and change the color of the eyes without affecting the actual image. Select the Colorize box so that we can choose the exact color that we want. Now change the hue to a color that you'd like to use. I'm going to pick a teal blue color. Let's move the saturation up so that we can really see that color come through. You can always come back to this adjustment layer later on and bring it back down. Now you will want to hide everything except what we want our color to be, and that is the eyes. This can be done with a layer mask. Layer masks are great to use because it allows you to hide and reveal sections of an image without actually destroying any part of the image, like an eraser tool would do. When you added the hue and saturation adjustment layer, a mask was already applied to that layer. As you can see, the mask is completely white. This means that it is showing or revealing all of the adjustment layer. Make sure that the white layer mask is selected. And while holding the Control button down on your keyboard, press the I key to invert the layer mask to black. Now, the black layer mask is hiding the adjustment layer. You can bring back any part of the image that you want by brushing or painting on the layer mask in white. Go ahead and select the brush tool. Pick a brush. I'm going to use the hard round brush for now. Make sure that the foreground and background colors are set to white and black. You can cycle through the foreground and background colors by pressing the X key on your keyboard. Select the black layer mask and with a white brush, begin painting to see the effect that it has. You will notice that the white brush strokes that you make now show up in the layer mask for this layer. Just like you can paint white to reveal the adjustment layer, you can always switch your brush to black by pressing the X button and painting on the layer mask. You can also use any value of gray that you want for different levels of opacity. Go ahead and undo these steps or take a big black brush and paint over the parts that you don't want. Use the brackets on your keyboard to make your brush size bigger.